So you're in the market for a sporty, sleek and sophisticated cabriolet. Well, you could do much worse than the Audi A5. But what if I told you this one was powered by the devil's fuel? That's right, this is a diesel. But does it actually matter, or is this still a perfectly acceptable car to cruise about in? Well, as you can see, we've got one here, so let's find out. So I think you've got to agree that from the outside, the fact this is a diesel is irrelevant. In fact, the only real giveaway is there's a little badge on the back that says TDI. But yeah, it's a really nice looking car. Perhaps the fact it's not a coupe, it sort of loses out on some of the sleek lines, but with a coupe you can't put the roof down. Now I do want to demonstrate this at some point in the video, but we're currently in the middle of a storm, so it's not all that, you know, convertible friendly. But that roof does go down in 15 seconds at speeds of up to 31 miles an hour. Now I really like the look of this car from the front. It's very aggressive and sporty, but you know, also quite elegant in a way that Audis seem to be. And yeah, this one is a really nice spec. So this is an S-Line Special Edition Plus. So what does that mean? Well, on top of your normal S-Line bits, which is stiffer suspension and the more aggressive body kit, you've also got these very nice diamond cut wheels. Do like those. But more importantly, as you come around the back, you've got this little boot spoiler, which I'm sure does absolutely loads to the performance. Now, one of the reasons Audi went for a soft top opposed to a sort of more luxurious, I guess, hard top is because it should, in theory, help with boot space. So how does that work in real life? Well, apparently with the roof down, you've got 320 litres of storage back here. However, with it up, you've got 380. As always, I struggle with these stats. I don't really know what that actually means in real life. But from what I can see, with the roof down, you might struggle because you've got quite a narrow sort of area to put things in. However, with it up, there should be enough room for most of your daily needs. You can, however, fold those seats down in the back, which means you can put longer things in. It's just then a case of what can you fit in this slightly awkward opening. But yeah, what do you expect? It's a convertible. Right, so I'm going to try and get into the back. I know that this is possibly slightly ridiculous, but we'll see. So, in theory, this should be fairly self-explanatory. Right, first bit, not too bad. Hopefully you can still see me on the camera, but I'm in. So what's it like back here? Well, I can tell you I've got absolutely no knee room and my head is touching the ceiling. But I do fit surprisingly better than I thought I would. So in theory, you can put adults in the back as long as they're not over 5'11", and as long as you're not planning on taking them very far. What's it like in the front? So my first thoughts of the interior is I thought it'd be like the Q7, and I thought I'd prefer the CLA interior over this interior. But this does feel a little bit different. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it does feel like a nicer place to sit. So you've got these S-Line seats, which are nice and low, so you feel like you're in something sporty. You've also got this nice leather-wrapped steering wheel, which is also fairly sporty. Unfortunately though, the pedals are to the right, and that's not all that nice for your driving position. But I'm sure you would get used to it. Something else you'd probably get used to is the multimedia interface. Obviously it's not the latest generation of tech, so you do have to cut it a little bit of slack, but I'm sure it'd be fine, like I say, when you've got used to it. This is quite a high spec car, so you've got the Bang & Olufsen speakers, which I'm sure are very punchy. With the roof down in summer and the music blasting, you might have to be careful because people might think you're a certain type of character. But jokes aside, really nice place to sit. Interestingly, you've also got vents in these seats that blast hot air at your neck, so in winter, in theory, you can drive around with the roof down. Now on the day I didn't do a very good job of talking to the camera whilst driving, so I'm going to use a voiceover for the first time. The Audi A5 we have here is powered by a 2-litre TDI engine producing 175 brake horsepower and 380 Nm of torque, which should result in a 0-60 time of 8.5 seconds at a top speed of 138 miles an hour. This means that the performance isn't what you call rapid, but for most people it's got more than enough performance to satisfy their needs. As it was only a short test drive, it's hard to comment on the handling, but as I always say, if you come into a car like this expecting a finely tuned driving machine, it isn't the car's fault when you leave disappointed. As you'll see, the fact that this car was powered by a diesel engine wasn't the biggest turn off for me. That came in the form of the 6-speed manual gearbox. Whilst you're here, if you click on that link in the right hand corner of the screen, it should take you to a video where I talk to the owner about his sort of time living with the Audi A5, and we run through the reliability and what it's been like to live with. So I'm not going to say it's a bad car to drive, it just doesn't feel, I don't know, it just doesn't seem suited to what the car is, the drive line. Yeah. It feels like the diesel feels kind of wrong. I mean, okay, it's a diesel, but that's... and the manual gearbox just doesn't seem to suit what is otherwise a sort of luxury-ish cruiser, you know what I mean? Sure. But it's certainly, it's still nicer to drive than my Clio, obviously. and I could get used to it. I think I'm finding the throttle quite difficult to modulate though.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just me being me, or if it's because it's just a slightly odd pedal feel. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It just feels like the engine, the drivetrain feels like it's a good drivetrain. It just doesn't suit the exterior and the sort of the vibe you get off the car. Whereas the Q7, the sort of engine complemented the package, didn't it? It was sort of the whole package. Whereas this, it's still nice. It just doesn't feel quite as. It doesn't feel like the round package. It's not perfect. Brakes are nice though. I'm just struggling a little bit with the throttle pedal.
Yeah.
And the offset pedals, they're still confusing me.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's because there's something there when they convert it from left-hand drive, won't it? I imagine.
Not sure. Could be.
So, trying to get used to this throttle.
You wouldn't have the problem in an auto either, would you? Because they just put a big brake pedal in the centre and accelerates on the right.
Yeah. So I think that's possibly the takeaway from this drive is that
the manual's
the weak link in this package.
Yeah.
I mean, arguably the diesel's not. The fact it's a diesel isn't the end of the world, is it?
No, it's not.
It's just the fact that I suppose the fact you're so involved with it being a manual. I mean, because you're so involved with it being a diesel, because you've got to change gear yourself, it kind of subtracts from the experience. Where if it was an automatic, you wouldn't really notice, so it wouldn't matter, would it?
No, that's right.
But I like the interior. I like the driving position. It's fairly comfortable actually. I was expecting it to be a little bit more crashy perhaps.
Yeah.
So I like the drive, just don't necessarily like the drive train.
Yeah.
So to summarise then, do I think the A5 loses out because it's a diesel? No, I don't. I think people who buy this don't expect it to be a Golf GTI, and therefore this diesel engine provides more than enough power and it's fast enough. I think the issue with this car is its gearbox. The manual just seems at odds with the sort of comfortable cruiser vibe that this car gives off. I think if you go for the automatic, you've got a much better package. So with that being said, I've been Blee, thank you for watching and please subscribe.